There is no tomorrow, just like there was no yesterday. What is it that you think exists? Is there really a you that exists outside of you? And breath apparently goes outside of you. So does your breath, when it leaves, exist outside of you? There are two experiences for a human, or for a body, or for a form, or for the one who has sent the body in to experience on its behalf. And these two experiences are birth and death. Everything else is a preparation for either or both. Because birth and death are the same. You can't remember before birth. Yeah? So it couldn't have been that bad. You can't remember birth. Your mind says, I have to be exempt for birth, and I have to be exempt for death. So mind goes, comes, goes, comes. And when mind is not there, what remains to experience birth and death? Please tell me. Like I'm some sort of fool. Who can remember, or what mind can remember their birth? Mind is the association with life. Mind is a type of consciousness that only surfaces when it's required to surface to prepare itself for an experience of dying, what we call dying. Can death, this body death, this human belief system that death is the end, can death be experienced by mind? Mind has to go, you see. Mind has to go. How is this proven? I give you an example. When this body that speaks experienced total enlightenment, the body left it. The body is mind. Mind left it. Body left it. Something remained to witness itself as no thing, to experience it by reflecting what it was to some sort of association, a voice for this one, from a universe, from a God, from Brahman, whatever you want to call it. The voice spoke very clearly when no mind and body was present. How do I know, you see? How does I know? Because nothing can ever be separated, but things can be muffled. Is this not clear in our human life? When you're sitting 5 miles from the speaker, even with loudspeaker, what you hear is so mind and body only picked up vibrations of something that would have destroyed mind and body had it been that close. There is no such thing when mind returns and body returns, and the knowledge that comes is there is only a consciousness that experiences birth. our evaluation of death is birth. So your experience of birth, which you cannot experience without mind, and mind was not there. No one speaks of their birth. No one speaks about how their feet came out first, their head came out first, because there was no mind present. Please listen to this. This is very important. When this body goes, the one inside experiences birth. Death is something that is associated with a fear that was inflicted by some sort of non-conforming thing that could not cope with the color of blood, with the body being mutilated. Now, when Christ apparently was put on the cross, his body was whipped, cut, dragged through thorns, and thousands of people witnessed it, but none of them intervened. Before Christ, there was no fear of death. No one speaks about this in the Bible, in the Bhagavad Gita. War was an approved thing, Shiva says to Arjuna. It was not about dying. It was about experiencing. There was no such thing as death. The result of Christ being exposed in images and in books of this gross, ugly thing that we call death created this fear that we now live with through our suffering every day. We are terrified of dying. If we're not terrified of dying, we're terrified of our partner, our children, everyone dying. And dying is a myth. It is a simple myth. The body is an organic piece of biology that comes and goes. Good bacteria comes, goes. Bad bacteria comes, goes. We call it illness. Thoughts come, go, come, go. If they're thoughts that incur death or harm, they're bad thoughts. If they're thoughts that incur saving and someone from death, someone from injury, from blood coming from the body, they're good thoughts. The human mind, through our inability, not an inability to accept death, to invent death, to create death, is a whole problem. No one will ever go out and actually harm another body. The moment we accept that death is actually birth. We don't want to lose anyone because we are so in love with form. We are so in love with form, and this love has been created through our fear of death. Attach to it, keep it for as long as possible, and hope and believe that we will meet again. We cannot meet again because we can never ever be separate. We are complete and unified one. There is nothing that works in this universe without everything working at the same time. And that is fact. Consciousness is all that exists. Consciousness does not understand death. God does not understand death. God is consciousness. You are consciousness. You are also the core, the root, the purpose, the meaning, the one moment behind consciousness. Your true self that dwells in this body that apparently dies but simply fades does not move. Birth and death are fluctuations of what we call truth. Birth and death are the same. Death is another avenue to birth. It is another experience of birth. You cannot remember your body birth because it actually was what we would say dead in our human mind. You appeared from death into birth, and now you are appearing from birth into death. None of this is true. There is only a moment, a movement, a fluctuation, an experience of the same thing every time. Everything that you experience as a human body is the same thing. In breath, apparently birth, out breath, death. Birth, death. Birth, death. Everything in between is non-experiential. There's nothing else to experience. The middle state that is in no time, that appears to be whatever a lifespan is for you as an individual, the in-between state, is simply the one, the God, that witnesses constant birth and no death, constant change, constant fluctuation, constant movement. The one that witnesses is permanence. Permanence is your true state, and when all births are over, it's not dead, you see. It cannot die because it has never been born. It is experiences of moving and transitioning from one into another. People accept 5 dimension, 4th dimension, 6th dimension. People accept that the body can move in a time machine, in some sort of kind of ghost, simultaneous parallel universe, but they can't accept these words. What happens when you move from universe to universe? Do you die before you move into the next universe, the next dimension? No, you continue to experience birth. Newness. Everything is newness. Everything in your day is a new experience. Even though you do the same thing, you eat the same breakfast at the same time, it is a new experience. You never chew the same thing twice. You never breathe the same breath twice. Everything is birth. Consciousness is absolute, constant birth. We mourn because we mourn for Christ. We have never experienced, we have never accepted the fact that no one intervened when Christ was on the cross. We look and we read and we see that a human body was put for all to see on a cross, yet no individual person intervened. This one did not commit what we call a sin of murder. It was put up through innocence, yet no one intervened. That's why we live with guilt and suffering, because we feel we have to die because we didn't do anything to save. It is a punishment. The punishment is that if you believe in death, you will suffer the whole of your life. If you know Christ, if you know consciousness, if you know yourself, if you know God, you will know that there is no end for any single thing. It is simply a transitional movement between birth and rebirth, and rebirth, and rebirth, and rebirth, beyond and beyond and beyond. Now, I don't want to hear this word death again. Everything is a celebration of birth. Please, Understand. Understand yourself. Understand nature. Understand consciousness like you understand this world. That you can do everything in your day on a new basis. You can experience anything in your day on a new basis. You do experience everything in your day on a new basis. Every day is a new day, a born day. Every breath is a new birth, a born birth. You have no ending.